Welcome to Call for Wisdom. Welcome back, my sisters and my brothers at the back, my sisters at the front. Today we're going to talk about the tradition of bridesmaids, virginity, and polygyny, all packed together in Matthew chapter 25 with the parable of the 10 virgins. And I like that parable because that parable to me it's so full of so many things to teach us about the gospel, about the end times, about preparing for Yeshua to come back, and really, it also symbolizes and endorses biblical marriage, the man's legal right to take on more than one wife. And why did Yeshua use that particular parable? And how did we mess it up? That's what we're going to talk about because along the way with Christianity, Roman culture, traditions, monogamy only, prescriptive monogamy, the term virgin that's literally in Matthew 20:25 got switched into this concept of bridesmaids, and now we have wedding season that just passed in June, and women dress up to be bridesmaids, and then we just insert that tradition into this chapter here where it says, let's just read it right now. Grab your Torah, Bible. Welcome to Call for Wisdom. So this is a little Bible study for women who are interested in obeying the Torah and following biblical marriage and just wanted to hang out with me and learn some things. I'm going to read this right now for you real quick, okay? And then we're going to go into the traditions of bridesmaids and how it's all pagan. It's all from hell. And this is not talking about paganism, right? But let's go and read the original text. So Matthew chapter 25. Then the kingdom of heaven will be compared. This is Yeshua speaking to his disciples. Then the kingdom of heaven will be compared to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were prudent. For when the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them. So the foolish, and there's 10 virgins, right? So it starts off like that. We're going to probably unpack this in 2 episodes, but I'm going to start with the fact here that we have identified that the kingdom of God, it's about the kingdom being compared to 10 virgins, not 10 bridesmaids, not 10 bridesmaids, not 10 bridesmaids, 10 virgins. And why in the world is it compared to 10 virgins if the groom is not coming back for their virginity? You know, he would not be interested in bridesmaids' virginity. He's interested in his wives, his potential wives, plural virginity. They are virgins. We, as congregations of Yeshua, are part of their body. He's coming back for us. It represents purity symbolically as well. But it's an image of biblical marriage. Virgins, plural. Virgins, plural. Not a set of 10 bridesmaids. And the tradition of bridesmaids, where did that come from? This is so easy to look it up, right? Go ahead and Google it, chat GP, search it on whatever, Gemini, look it up for yourself. Look it up in the history of Italy. And it goes into that, where they came up with that a couple thousand years ago about bridesmaids in general. But I'm going to show you a little clip here and you will be able to see it. Let's just look into this YouTuber who did me a favor. And I'm going to just play it.
The tradition of brides. Here's some of the wildest.
Let's discuss the weirdest origins of common wedding traditions. Number 1, bridesmaids. What is the history of the bridesmaid's dress in Western tradition? In this painting, we see Queen Victoria marrying Prince Albert, and behind them we see a large number of bridesmaids all dressed in white. Today, this would be considered unusual because to wear white to a wedding, whether it's a bridesmaid or a guest, is considered very bad taste. But in the Victorian period, this trend was considered very much the norm and it was established by Queen Victoria. But first, let's jump back to ancient Rome. It is sometimes thought that the custom of having bridesmaids and groomsmen was established in ancient Roman times. Roman law stipulated that 10 witnesses had to attend the wedding. These witnesses were usually friends and family of the bride and the groom, and they would dress similarly, if not identically, to the bride and the groom to ward off evil spirits from interrupting or interfering with the wedding ceremony. This tradition and superstition of warding off evil spirits was said to have continued on into the Middle Ages.
So we'll just stop there. You can look this up in history books. This is like public knowledge. This is all tradition and superstition about warding off evil spirits. That's why the creation of bridesmaids, right? And we have interpreted this into our scriptures and saying, oh, this is not talking about biblical marriage and polygyny. It's talking about bridesmaids, which is not true. That came through paganism, through Rome and empire paganism. That's what she's going to explain to you. This is where it came from, not from the Bible, not for what Jesus was talking about. Right? Let's continue.
By dressing identically to the bride, it would confuse the evil spirit and would therefore allow the groom and the bride to wed without any interruption. But of course, as well as warding off evil spirits, the bridesmaids were also there to act as a maid to serve the bride during the wedding. And so over time, the custom of wearing similar clothes or the same colour as the bride became less and less prevalent. Instead, the bridal party, including both the groomsmen and the bridesmaids, were expected to dress richly and to dress in their best clothing. And thus, in these depictions of royal weddings, we can see that their attendants are simply wearing very rich, fine clothes. They are there to assist the bride and to witness the ceremony, and as a result, they are wearing their best clothing. In this painting, we see Louis XIV marrying his bride, Maria Theresa of Spain. And we can see that she is being assisted by 3 bridesmaids, and they are all in identical clothing. And so we can see that over time, the tradition in which bridesmaids all wore similar clothing but different from the bride sort of evolved over time. And it's also very likely that the cost of these dresses was borne by the bride, as is.
Okay, we don't care about the cost of the dresses. Let's focus on Matthew 24. Matthew 25, about the virgins. Virgins. They are not bridesmaids, right? Obviously, this is not Yeshua coming back from some detours that are warding off spirits. He's coming back for virgins, virgins being his brides. And we know that we are his brides. We know that, right? So I have on the comments some sisters are saying, oh, the polygyny is wrong because Jesus is coming back for one bride. And on one hand, I don't know where the cognitive dissonance comes from, because we know as a collective, we are all part of his body. He's coming back for all of us, not just one individual. So we know in our mind that there is plural members of his body, therefore plural brides. Therefore 10 brides are symbolized in his parable. 10 brides, 10 virgins, right? He's coming back for us. And the fact that they are all individually covenant with him is the key here too, because only 5 were prepared and 5 were not. 5 were wise, 5 were foolish. Obviously here then we can see the symbolism that needs to be addressed, right? That when you think about it, each individual virgin in this parable of Matthew 25 had an individual covenant, an individual responsibility towards her husband, Yeshua, towards the groom, to make sure that she had enough oil and she had a lamp to put the oil in. The lamp being the word of Yah, the light being the Ruach, enlightening it, giving us the revelation, giving us the understanding. And when you have the combination, you can light your way and be ready in this very dark season, because in this parable, the bride delays and he comes later than they had thought, right? Later, it's really dark and they needed that light. And so when you think about that, that's an individual preparation for the groom, not a collective, an individual. So each one of these brides, each one of these virgins had to be ready. He came for a group, but each one of them had an individual responsibility to be ready. That is the gospel message. But it's also very much a polygynous example, very much, because each one of them had a unique connection. And if they were not ready, they were foolish and they put onto the foolish side. So 5 of them were not ready, but it didn't stop the other 5 that to get in, right? And it's the same thing with a man who has multiple wives. Each one of them have a unique connection to him. Each one of them has to have a relationship with him. If one of them is behaving badly and she is adulterous, or she decides that she's going to be rebellious and commit spiritually adultery, or, for biblical reasons, he has to let her go, then the rest of the wives are not affected, because she can be cut off like a limb. like an arm, but it doesn't affect the rest of the body. Yeah, it's painful, but the body will survive, because it's better to get it into heaven with one eye and one limb than to be, not getting in at all. It's the same kind of parable analogous here. Although we are all his brides, plural, when we want to get in, we have to be individually prepared, right? And then later on, I think the next episode, we're going to break into the Hebrew and the Greek word about marriage chambers. But right now, I just wanted to talk about the tradition of bridesmaids and how that is wrong. And that has messed up our interpretation of Matthew chapter 25 and that parable, and how Yeshua is actually endorsing biblical polygyny very clearly. And whether we like it or not, the symbolism in the Hebrew culture in his time is still there and is still applicable. Because when we say that we are collectively waiting for his return, for him to come and get us, we are individually responsible for our unique relationship with the Messiah, with our groom. And those of you who understand that, get it, because you have oil in your lamp. It does take a revelation of the Ruach to lift up the muddiness of prescriptive monogamy and the muddiness of Roman tradition and paganism out of you. Because this whole concept of bridesmaids is so pagan. It's so superstitious. It's all about trying to scare away evil spirits. This is not what Yeshua was talking about. He's not coming back for a whole bunch of pagan women. He's coming back for his virgin brides who are pure. So, anyways, let me know what you think of it. If you understand it, if you don't like it, if you don't agree, hit me up, like, subscribe. Thanks for following me in Call for Wisdom, and I'm back. Let's meet up also coming up really soon this past Shabbat, next Shabbat, and also Masculinity Monday. You sisters, let's sit at the back and listen to some guys, because Brother Mike Allen is going to continue his conversations with us. Looking forward to catching up with him. Blessings, everybody. Take care.